What's up, everybody? Brett here, back today with yet more news from CA in their quest to flood our veins with dopamine. They are giving us a constant stream now of campaign mechanics, unit reveals, trailers, all that good stuff. And today it's going to be Kislev's turn. So let's just read the title here. Let your foes feel the fury of winter with Kislev's campaign mechanics. I'm excited, guys. So we've got, I think the entire roster has been pretty much revealed. With the caveat that there's a small spoiler that I've seen floating around Reddit, which I might go to at the end of the video, just for those of you who don't want to be spoiled. Someone found something hidden in kind of an old picture that may be a future DLC, FLC surprise, something like that. So all the juicy hints have been given. Let's go ahead and read here, guys. Yeah, this is an older trailer. We might watch this together as well, just to see, you know, what has already been presented. It's only like a minute long. I know we've seen it already, but it's been a while, right? Remind ourselves what the units are, what they look like, what they do. It says, welcome back to our series of articles on faction mechanics in Total War Warhammer 3. Today we're heading north to the icy lands of Kislev, the ward of the world against the machinations of chaos and humanity's finest line of defense against the threat of corruption. A fierce belief in their land, its people, and the power of their gods to stand against the chaos seeping from the north. Whispering dark secrets and desires, crushing and infecting all those it encounters keeps the nation alive. They have endured much, but they will continue until their mastery of the north is complete and chaos is driven from the waste once and for all. Alright, we see the first one already, Devotion. Guys, just before we even click on the video, I have some pretty, man, I hate to say it, but they're pretty strong opinions on whether or not some of the design choices with Kislev are good or bad. Some of them are excellent, like better than I could have ever dreamed. The Streltsy, for instance, I think looks sick. The Bear Cav looks sick. I don't think their variants are very cool. They're all riding polar bears. When we've seen from art in different depictions that they have the availability of using multiple different colors to showcase tiers. That's an easy fix. All they have to do is, you know, change something on the color slider. But, you know, and then I have a problem as well with the overuse of ice as their theme. It's just everywhere. It's on everything. To me, it starts to look a little lame. It starts to be a little cliche. Too many bears, too much ice. And that's kind of my opinion. That's where I'm at. But I am still very much stoked for Kislev. So they were always one of my favorite factions, even before when they didn't have a ton of lore, even before when they weren't playable Total War Warhammer 1 and 2. And I'm very excited to play them now. Let's play this little video here. We'll full screen this bad boy.
We are the bulwark of the north. Behold the unyielding Motherland. Through the teachings of the great Orthodoxy,
looks sick.
This world's end is kept at the bay. Our mothers and fathers, brothers and sisters.
It was also weird how they revealed him. Just in this trailer. You didn't know who he was. You thought he was like a hero unit.
With the strength of
Turns out he's a lord.
the mighty
And he's basically
bear
rescued.
god and the power of winter itself.
Sick.
There, them, go!
God, I hope that's an animation.
Join us!
Yeah, look at the ice on the bottom of the sleds. I don't know, man. I don't know. Just put wheels on them, you know? Honestly, this is like one of my guilty, kind of guilty thoughts here. The War Wagon for the Empire is one of my favorite units in the game. I love making the War Wagons work. And I was kind of hoping that we'd have something similar with Kislev. But it's ice. I don't know. Alright, Devotion. Here we go. The mechanics while we're here. If it hasn't been clear, Kislevites are a fairly religious sort. When you're freezing to death on your 50th day since you last saw your family, digging at the ice to get ever closer to literal demons and make sure they aren't coming for your home, your people, and everything you hold dear, well, it helps to have something to believe in. In-game, Devotion is a representation of how well your faction is holding the ideals of Kislev, and how easily it can keep the passion of the common people focused on destroying chaos. It is gained primarily through exactly that, combating and destroying the armies of chaos. Defeating chaos-aligned armies provides some, while sacrificing the captives post-battle gives another chunk. Various buildings and decisions can also generate devotion, the gods of Kislev responding to the attentions of their people. Should it dip too low, Chaos armies may attack your homeland, finding it all the easier to manifest and invade a people who no longer believe they can be stopped. And that's the loop, right? Your devotion dips low, more chaos shows up, you kill more chaos, you get more devotion, right? Or you lose. So that's how that goes. Devotion will drop when you commit heretical actions, like declaring war on other Kislev factions. It can also be spent on buildings and technology that are closely aligned to the faith. These can be great places of worship, for example, or improvements to the innovations the people of Kislev use to worship their gods. Speaking of which, the Motherland. That's a pretty picture. Let's go ahead and open that in a new tab real quick. Check that out. Trying to get an idea of the scale. It looks like a little boat there. So this is pretty big. It kind of looks like a map that's already in the game, though. Looks like a dwarf. Looks like they reskinned a map that's normally, and I could be wrong here, but it looks like the dwarf hold map. You see the dwarf and the greenskins fight a lot, where it's like more desert, but maybe they added some trees and reskinned it. I don't know. I could be wrong. I'm not sure though, because it's got the same like bridge in the background with the little towers. It could just be very similar. I could be totally wrong. The primary use of devotion is to perform one of 4 rituals to the Motherland. These represent honoring one of the 4 main gods of the Kislevite faith. They, their areas of worship, and the effects of the ritual are Saliak, god of healing and comfort, a teacher of common sense but cannot bring back the dead. That makes sense. They're not an undead faction. Increases growth and replenishment rate faction-wide. So there is a hero unit for Kislev. I don't remember what they're called. Maybe there's some sort of Urson-type priest. They're guys that ride bears, right? And they have a heel attached to them. Maybe that's part of Saliak instead of Urson. So Daz, god of fire and the sun, legendary for giving knowledge of fire to ancient human war chiefs. Maybe it imbues fire damage, which, in turn kind of imbues a sort of like weapon strength buff. Increases income from trade in all buildings. Cool. We've got Urson, god of bears and seen as the shepherd and protector of Kislev. Causes attrition to all armies in your lands and provides a unique army ability that puts a powerful hex on a target area. I like it. So, a lot of factions have this type of ability where invaders suffer attrition once they cross into your lands. Not exactly a unique ability, but we'll have to see what the hex is. If it's like minus 24 melee attack, minus 24 melee defense, that's been done already. But I'm going to hold out hope. And then lastly, we have Tor, god of thunder and lightning and a mighty warrior who cracks the sky. I think we all know who that is. Gives all armies additional melee attack and bestows a unique army ability to massively increase damage potential in an area for a time. Alright. Very cool. Each ritual to the Motherland also causes a great winter to whip across Kislev's lands. Spread snow across any battles in their lands, and dissuading attacks from enemies. Should your devotion be enough, you can switch between or continue the effects at will. These great storms and rituals also serve to incite the populace to support your faction. Which brings us to, that's a lot of info in here. That's a cool idea. Supporters and the spiritual conflict for Kislev. Let's also open this in a new tab. We're going to read this and then we're going to look at the graphic. It'll make more sense, I believe. Kislev is a nation divided. While it remains resolute against the coming of chaos, the death of the Red Tsar and the rise of his daughter Katerin to the throne has thrown the political landscape into disarray. There are 2 major factions, Tsarina Katerin and the Ice Court, standing opposed to Supreme Patriarch Kostalin and the Great Orthodoxy. The 2 dare not declare open war against one another. No matter their hatred for the other's position, it would simply be too costly for the nation, and civil war is already a reality on both their borders. However, they are gathering followers in the hope of proving that their faction is the greater, and should be the one to lead Kislev, as one nation, into the future and against the forces of chaos. Gathering followers comes from any number of sources, further enhanced by which results you decide to undertake, and passive gains from certain buildings. So this is making me wonder, just real quick, if I'm playing as Kostalin, how easy is it for me to confederate the Tsarina, and is it even possible? And if I do, does it completely negate this entire mechanic? That is my question. Think about it. As a faction gains more followers, they will increase their relationship with the minor factions of Kislev, as well as proving to the people and the troops that they are the rightful leader. Should the vast majorities of Kislevites choose one side or the other, it will become dominant, confederate their opponents, and reign supreme. Okay, they kind of answered my question. But then you're losing. An entire mechanic is gone. You played this game for the early game, maybe into the mid game, and then you confederated, and then now your mechanic is done. It's interesting. Of course, both factions are more than willing to spend gold or devotion to smear their opponents. This is a spiritual conflict for the Motherland and its people. Whoever wins will still have Chaos, the Empire, and their vampire spawn to the south, ogres and worse to the west, and much more to deal with. Alright, let's look at this. Let's look at this picture together. So, Invocations. Invoke one of the gods of Kislev and bestow their blessing across the Motherland. So they've selected Saliek. And that gives supporters generated 1 when gaining a character rank. That seems pretty easy to do. Growth plus 20. And casualty replenishment rate plus 8% for all armies. That's pretty good. That's a 10-turn duration. I mean, even just for the growth, that's excellent. That's like getting another growth building in every province that you have. And then we see at the bottom left, we can see the bars showing, devotion going. We also see the banners for Tsarina and for Castellian. And then supporter action, we can use devotion using coin. Okay. All right. Scroll on down here. This is another pretty sick looking picture. And we see different colored bears. So maybe they have changed this. I'm seeing brown bears. Those almost look reddish. White bears. Open that up. That's just a dope looking picture. So I'm hoping that that was something that they addressed. Because for a while we were looking at, very early stuff, granted. And of course the Hussars. Let's not forget those dudes are sick. All we were seeing were polar bears, and it was worrisome. It just looked weird. It looked lame. Ottomans and the great cities of Kislev. Read about this real quick. Kislev has a strict hierarchy of order within its society, and Ottomans are what sit between the Tsarina and her people. They are the rulers of cities and regions, conducting the everyday business that keeps the nation ticking over and ensures chaos cannot get a foothold. In game, they are special lords, recruited to serve a province and can affect the income, affect the income, growth, control, and corruption of the area. They also have various special effects and can develop more as their career continues. They do not earn XP like traditional lords, but will face various dilemmas to increase their skills. That's interesting. However, in times of dire need, or, well, whenever you like really, Ottomans can be drafted as lords to lead armies. This has no initial cost as you already control the Ottoman. Though they lack the battle-specific random traits of normal lords, they won't be providing their province benefits while they're in the field. If they die, they're gone, and a new one will need to be recruited to run their province. So they almost sound to me like the Black Ark lords, who, you need them in the Black Ark to operate it, but they're kind of free. Their cost is already baked in, and then if they ever fight, you can use them in the fight, but if they die, it's like, okay. That's what it sounds like. This could be very interesting, or it could be kind of lame. I don't know. We'll have to see. But the fact that they're free, they give you benefits, they're just not like a regular lord. You get 1 Ottoman per 2 provinces you control. However, while for some races and areas of the world that would represent a half dozen settlements or more, the layout of Kislev is somewhat unique. 3 great cities dominate much of the landscape: Kislev, Prague, and Arengrad. It has been many moons since the 3 were united under one banner, but together they represent the nation. The geography of the area also, that's pretty information packed, I feel. 3 great cities. I mean, those are all already in the game. But I was thinking that there would be more Kislev land perhaps to the east. I know the mountains are there, the mountains of Morn. But I thought they might have something going on the other side of the mountains, and maybe they do, and that has to do with the little bit of the spoiler that I have to talk about very soon. The geography of the area also leads to some other massive single settlements, such as the Skaven Hell Pit to the north. Between these great areas are scores of smaller towns and villages, scratching out a living and funding the war efforts with men, farms, and weapons. Which deserves the attention of your Ottomans is up to you. Okay, well, this is definitely one of those things we'll have to see how it plays before I give too much of an opinion. Let's go ahead and open that in a new tab. So the Ice Court. Frost Maiden Heroes, Ice Witch Lords. Okay, let's read it before we look at it. The Ice Witches and Frost Maidens of Kislev are not simply born with their extraordinary powers and the wherewithal to use them. Dedicated training must be undertaken, and the costs of decisions related to that fall on your shoulders. Rather than simply hiring these lords and heroes, you must first pay for them to go through a training regimen. Okay. While this means hiring a new hero or lord takes many more turns, it also gives you the opportunity to mold them into what you currently need. Each turn in training will give you decisions on how you would like your new recruit to specialize, which lore of magic, which abilities, which passive bonuses for troops under their command. This is a cool idea. Different technologies change the number of Ice Witches and Frost Maidens that can be trained at any one time, as well as the recruitment capacity for them. Once training is complete, they are added to your recruitment pool as normal, at a discounted price, as you already paid for the training. They can then be recruited whenever you have the desired money and slots to do so. Naturally, Castellian does not adore that. If he is to wield the winds of magic in his armies, he must pay for training of those he despises. It is up to him, and therefore you, how much you do that, but the uneasy peace between the Ice Court and the Orthodoxy gives him access to the same tools as anyone else. Alright, so they're explaining, like, lore-wise, why it makes sense that he messes with that in the first place. Let's see, we have Mikhaila Novasi. A maiden of the Ice Court is an envoy of the Tsarina sent across the realm to serve Katarin's interests. She is also expected to stand on the battlefield, bolstering the warriors of Kislev with her magic. Where should she focus her talents? As a quiet warrior or a magical warrior? And then we can also see the lords down below. A little bit of fancier hat. Looks pretty sweet. Okay. Natalia, veteran of Prague. Interesting. Look at all the cash. You guys are playing with house money. Alright. As we go down, the tech tree now. Very cool. Let's open that in the new tab as well. Finally, as we mentioned in our Cathay piece, we'll be detailing the tech trees of the individual factions, as each is subtly different and focused in a specific direction. For Kislev, their technology focuses on 4 key areas: the land and the 3 great cities. Each contains 3 groups of technologies, each of which requires a number from the group before to unlock. Within a group, several of the technologies may also be linked. Oh, this is interesting. I mean, they're not kidding when they say the cities are the thing. Yeah, I'm very interested in how that's going to work. Your technology is focused around 3 cities. I mean, what about if I want to start conquering the Empire? What if I get up into the frozen areas and start taking Norska lands and stuff like that? Is like 3/4 of my tech tree irrelevant? Interesting. Alright. To begin with, a few technologies in each set are available. Progressing along the land path simply needs a few from each box completed to unlock the next. However, the 3 tracks based around the great cities, Kislev, Prague, and Erengrad, require those cities to be in your faction. Each city focuses on differing upgrades across a host of units, income, types, and other benefits. What if I lose the city? Then I've got, let's say I take Erengrad, but then I lose it, or Prague, probably more likely. I take Prague, and then I lose it to a chaos invasion. And I've just spent, 50 turns upgrading it, and then I lose it. I don't know. I don't know about all that. As you can imagine, uniting all... I'm just trying to think of the worst case scenarios. I'm kind of just playing devil's advocate here. But that does seem to be a problem, a chink in the armor, Ted, if you will. As you can imagine, uniting all 3 cities under you gives a significant advantage in terms of what you can do and the power of your settlements and armies. It may provide some surprising results as well. Ooh, baby. I wonder if that has to do with the spoiler surprise. Ooh. Okay, let me hurry up and read this last little bit, and then we can talk about it. Be humanity's bulwark. Those are the basics for running Kislev. Little remains but to ride your bear to battle and defeat the hordes of chaos swarming from the north and out of the very chaos realms themselves. It seems like maybe, I don't know if this is true, but I'm hoping that the Tsarina and Castellian, they each have their own lord mechanic as well. That will be, differentiating and interesting. I have my fingers crossed. They're not showing it yet, if so. But let's go ahead and real quick look at the tech tree before I forget. You see the land here. You see Kislev and presumably all the other cities down the line. Just look at kind of these names and see if there's anything to be gleaned Because some of these require God dang it, what's it called? No. Gotta remember. The devotion. It requires devotion in order to unlock. Ursulite cult customs, festivals of Urza, everything to do with bears, it seems. Is like they want you to have some devotion in order to get. So it looks like lots of unit upgrades. I see ice rights with looks like with the spirit bear, the giant spirit bear looks like. Yeah, it's hard to know what these do at face value. I could guess. I could go through all of them and guess. But that seems a little pointless. We'll get that info soon enough. All right. So the spoiler that I saw on Reddit. Someone found a picture, an old picture that was put out, where they were showcasing a lot of the artwork and the art design, really. You know, they were showing all the different bears, all the different colors of bears, the potential people who will ride the bears. It was showing, for anyone, I guess, who would end up animating or drawing them. It was showing the skeleton basically of the model, how it has been slightly adapted to be cooler looking. It was showing the directions of the fur, how they, it was the whole art design. It was. I thought it was pretty interesting. But in the tiny corner, as it was showing here, look, it's Tsarina, look, it's Kostelin, look, and these other, Lord models who will be riding the bear. In the corner, there was a tiny model of, well, what do they refer to him as? God dang it. They just referenced him in here. And I'm starting to wonder if maybe he shows up. They called him the Red Tsar, something like that. So basically, Tsarina's dead. He's dead in the current timeline, or thought to be dead. He rode his huge bear into the Chaos Waste, never to return. The Red Tsar, that is what they called him. Yeah. But basically, he's thought to be dead. That's why Tsarina's in charge. I'm wondering if when you unite all three cities, he shows up as a recruitable lord, because that would be badass. So minor spoilers there. That could be the case. However, his model is dead on. It's no mistake. If you look at his tabletop model, he's got a very distinct plumage. He's got a very distinct weapon. And they even show his weapon, but now it's coated in ice. So you can tell it's something that they put a lot of work into. The design is there. So he's either going to be FLC, DLC, or he's already in the game as kind of like a secret recruitable lord once you play to the mechanics of uniting all of Kislev and having that devotion. He shows up. And, yeah, it sounds sick to me. I'd be down for it. Lord, or Tsar Boris shows up and just starts throwing dudes around, bodying people, taking his throne back. But guys, that's going to be it for me today. I hope you enjoyed this little bit of reading of the info that we got. Yeah, look forward to more stuff. I don't have access to all this stuff early. I think it was Sotek on his YouTube channel. He was talking about how we should all be prepared because the amount of info that's coming our way is quite staggering over the next several weeks. And I'm stoked for that, and you should be too. But that's it, guys. I'm Brett, channel's Goodtalk Gaming, and as always, y'all, I will see you in the next one. Let me know what you think in the comments down below. I love talking nerd stuff. Take care.